In the quiet stillness of Arlington Cemetery, a decorated Navy admiral expected only silence at her daughter's grave. But instead, she found a janitor kneeling there, holding a baby with her daughter's eyes. What unfolded next would unravel years of secrets, bridge a lifetime of regret, and form a family born from loss, love, and second chances. Before we begin this deeply moving journey, we'd be honored to have you with us. If you enjoy heartfelt healing stories that touch the soul, feel welcome to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, so you never miss the next chapter of hope. The late afternoon sky hung low over Arlington, like a solemn curtain, its muted gray blending into the quiet rows of white and slate headstones. Admiral Amelia Whitford stepped out of her car with the same precision she carried into every briefing room for nearly 4 decades. Her posture was straight, her uniform immaculate, her medals perfectly aligned, yet none of it shielded her from the ache tightening in her chest. She held a small bouquet of white navel lilies, the same kind her daughter Sarah used to braid into her hair as a little girl. It was the anniversary, the day everything in Amelia's life had cracked open. She walked the familiar path between the gravestones, her boots brushing lightly over trimmed grass. She had made this walk every year, never late, never early, always at the same hour. Structure was how she survived the things she could not fix. But today felt different before she even reached the grave. She slowed when she noticed movement ahead, not the gentle sway of trees, not another family visiting a loved one, a man in a worn green maintenance suit, shoulders tense, head bowed, and in his arms a child, no more than 6 or 7 months old, cradled close to his chest. Amelia's steps faltered. He wasn't just near Sarah's grave, he was kneeling at it. Her breath froze. The cemetery was sacred to her, this particular place even more so. No one ever approached Sarah's headstone except groundskeepers, who trimmed the grass once a week. Yet here was a stranger, his broad frame hunched his hand, covering his eyes, as if trying to muffle grief, too raw to contain. The baby whimpered softly, and the man pulled her closer, whispering something Amelia couldn't hear. A flicker of unease slid through her. Who was he? Why did he have a child with him? Why here? And why at her daughter's grave? Amelia tightened her grip on the bouquet and forced her feet forward. Years of command told her to confront calmly, rationally. But the mother in her, a part of herself she rarely allowed to surface, was already bracing for impact. When she reached speaking distance, her voice emerged steady, though her heart wasn't. "Excuse me," she said quietly. "This area is private." The man startled. His head jerked up, revealing tired eyes, a rough beard, and hair that looked like it had been combed by his fingers rather than a brush. His uniform was indeed janitorial navy green patches, worn gloves stuffed into one pocket. He instinctively shifted the baby in his arms, as if shielding her from something unseen. "I'm sorry," he murmured. His voice was low, husky, the kind that carried both humility and burdens. "I didn't mean to intrude." Amelia's gaze moved from him to the child, and then everything inside her stilled. Those eyes. The baby had Sarah's eyes, amber brown with warm flecks that used to brighten when Sarah laughed, eyes that were gentle even when her daughter was angry. Eyes Amelia had not looked into for years before Sarah died. Her throat tightened painfully. The baby blinked up at her, curious and calm, as if she somehow recognized Amelia. The Admiral stepped back without meaning to. Who is she?" The man swallowed hard. "Her name is Lily." Lily. A name blooming with innocence, yet the moment felt anything but light. "What are you doing here?" Amelia asked. The question was sharp, but her voice trembled around the edges. She wasn't used to being unsure. She wasn't used to being shaken. The man stood slowly, careful not to wake the child nestled against his chest. I know I shouldn't be here during visiting hours, but today felt important. I just needed to come. He hesitated, eyes flicking to the gravestone as if it pulled at him. I didn't expect anyone else would be visiting at this hour. Amelia's pulse thundered. This is my daughter's grave. His breath caught visible sharp. His arms instinctively tightened around the baby. I know, he whispered. The wind shifted, then brushing leaves across the path, carrying with it a faint scent of cut grass. Amelia felt suddenly colder. The man's reaction wasn't one of confusion. It was recognition. He knew Sarah's name. He knew whose grave he was kneeling at. He knew, and yet he came anyway. Who are you? Amelia demanded, not with authority now, but with something much more fragile. The man opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. My name is Liam. She waited, but he didn't continue. His eyes lowered as if he feared what he might see on her face, or feared the truth he carried. Amelia's gaze swept over him, his trembling hand, the way he positioned himself protectively between her and the child, the quiet storm in his eyes. This wasn't a man visiting by mistake. This was a man carrying grief that didn't belong to a stranger. Her voice dropped, nearly a whisper. Why were you crying here? Why at her grave? Liam inhaled shakily. Because I owed Sarah more than silence, more than distance. And because, he looked down at the baby, because Lily deserves to know who her mother was. Amelia felt her heart stop. The world around her, the gravestones, the wind, the sky blurred into nothing but static. Her legs weakened, but she forced herself to stand tall. What did you just say? Liam finally met her eyes fully. His own were rimmed with red, filled with something that looked like equal parts guilt and devotion. I shouldn't say more. Not yet, he said, voice breaking. But please believe me, I never meant to hurt anyone, least of all you. He shifted Lily again, and her small fingers curled into the fabric of his shirt. The child's amber eyes blinked up at Amelia, soft and impossibly familiar. A tremor ran down Amelia's spine. Something was wrong. Something was missing. Something had been kept from her for far too long. She took one unsteady step closer. Liam. Her voice cracked despite her discipline. Why does that child look exactly like my daughter? Liam closed his eyes, and for a long, breathless moment, the cemetery stood silent, every answer hovering just beyond reach. The silence between them stretched like a taut wire, thin trembling, ready to snap with the slightest pull. Admiral Amelia Whitford had faced interrogations in secure rooms, storms at sea, and crises that would have shattered lesser officers. Yet nothing in her long military career prepared her for the quiet dread now crawling beneath her ribs. The baby Lily shifted in Liam's arms. Her tiny hand reached upward, brushing the fabric of his collar, then pausing mid-air as her gaze landed once again on Amelia. Those amber eyes, gentle, warm, familiar in a way that pierced and soothed all at once. Sarah's eyes. It was impossible. It was undeniable. Amelia forced herself to breathe, though each inhale felt like paper scraping her throat. She steadied her voice. Liam, I'm going to ask you again. Why does that child resemble my daughter? Liam didn't answer immediately. His jaw tightened, not in defiance, but in anguish. He rocked Lily gently, as if to shield her from the weight of his silence. I wasn't sure when or if I'd ever have the courage to come here, he said, finally. But Lily deserves the truth, even if I've failed to bring it sooner. Amelia stepped closer, unconsciously lowering her posture as she approached the child. The ribbons on her white uniform rustled softly in the wind. If this involves Sarah, she said, her tone slipping into something dangerously close to pleading, I need to know. Lily blinked, then let out a soft coo, a tiny melodic sound that sliced Amelia open from the inside. She hadn't heard a baby's coo in years, not since Sarah was a toddler, long before the wedge of ambition and regret grew between them. Liam's breath shook. She looks like Sarah because she's family. The words hit Amelia like recoil from a rifle. Family, she echoed, barely audible. Liam nodded slowly, grief rippling through his features. Sarah wasn't alone before she passed. She had someone she loved. Someone who loved her. A tremor spread across Amelia's hands. She gripped the stem of the bouquet hard enough to feel it bend. My daughter had someone she had been loved. She had built a life Amelia never knew about. Her voice cracked. Who Liam exhaled shakily an exhale that carried years of burden. Lucas Hale. The name meant nothing to her. Not yet. He was a young corporal. Liam continued softly, one of the soldiers under my command during Operation Silent Reef. Sarah and Lucas met by chance during a stateside shore leave. They kept their relationship quiet because... He looked away, jaw tightening. Because Sarah was afraid you wouldn't approve. The cemetery seemed to tilt for a moment. Amelia felt the ground sway beneath her boots. Because she wouldn't approve. Because her daughter had believed that she swallowed the ache, but it stayed lodged in her chest like shrapnel. Sarah was engaged, Liam said. Not officially, but they had decided to build a life together once she finished school, and he returned from deployment. Engaged. A life together. The words washed over Amelia not as joy or comfort, but as a wave that drowned, pushing her deeper into the cold realization that she had known so little about her own child's heart. Her voice became a whisper. Why didn't she tell me? Liam hesitated. Sarah wanted to. Lucas begged her to. But she was afraid. She respected you. She admired you. But she never felt she could live up to your expectations. It was a knife to the sternum, swift, precise, lethal. Amelia had known she'd been distant, consumed by the Navy, consumed by missions and medals and discipline. But hearing it spoken aloud by a stranger holding a child with Sarah's eyes made the truth unbearably sharp. Her breath trembled. What does this have to do with that baby? Liam's eyes glistened. He looked at Lily brushing a thumb across her tiny cheek. Everything. He took another breath, each word breaking him open a little more. Sarah was pregnant. She didn't know until Lucas was already deployed overseas. She tried to contact him, but communication was restricted during Silent Reef. And then, he closed his eyes, steadying himself. Lucas never came home. Amelia pressed a hand to her chest, not because she was weak, but because it felt like her heart had folded inward. I held him when he died, Liam whispered. He was injured during the last phase of the operation. Before he passed, he gave me two things, a small box he'd meant for Sarah and his final request. Amelia's voice was barely audible, which was to find her. The wind stilled. He made me promise. Liam continued, his voice steady, but faint, to finish the story he never got to write. To tell Sarah he loved her. To tell her she wasn't alone. To be there if she needed anything. Amelia stared at him, stunned into silence. Liam looked down, but by the time I returned stateside and found the address he'd written, it was already too late. Sarah had his voice cracked. Amelia finished for him a whisper of grief. She had passed. He nodded, unable to speak. Her legs weakened, but she held herself upright. Because that's what a Whitford did. Because collapsing now would mean admitting she'd lost more than she ever realized. And Lily, she asked, her voice barely holding steady. Lily, Liam said, brushing her hair gently, is Lucas and Sarah's daughter. Your granddaughter. The world narrowed into a single point of sound, the soft beating of her own pulse in her ears. Granddaughter. The child with Sarah's eyes. The baby cooing in the arms of a janitor standing at her daughter's grave. The life that had come from the life she'd lost. Amelia staggered not physically but spiritually. A lifetime of discipline cracked under the weight of one impossible truth. She looked at Lily again. Really looked. At her tiny fingers curled into Liam's shirt. At her round cheeks and soft breath. At the innocence of a soul who had no idea how much history lived inside her. A tear slipped down Amelia's cheek. She didn't wipe it away. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" she whispered. Liam's voice broke completely. Because Sarah never sent the letter. A chill rippled through Amelia. "What letter she wrote to you?" Liam said softly. "Before she died. I've carried it for months. I couldn't bring myself to deliver it until today." He reached into his jacket pocket with a trembling hand and pulled out a folded, weathered envelope. "Admiral Whitford," he whispered, offering it to her. This was her last message to you. The moment hung suspended in the quiet cemetery, air fragile, devastating, sacred, and nothing in Amelia's world would ever be the same. For a long, trembling moment, Admiral Amelia Whitford could only stare at the envelope in Liam's hand. The edges were worn, the paper softened by time, and the oils of someone who had held it far too often. Sarah's handwriting, her unmistakable looping S. Her gentle slant stared back at Amelia like a ghost she wasn't prepared to see. Her fingers twitched, but she didn't reach for it. Not yet. Not until she could breathe without feeling her ribs splinter. "Why didn't she send it?" Amelia whispered, her voice sounding foreign to her own ears. Liam's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. She meant to. She carried it with her during her last weeks. Lucas told me she wrote it after discovering she was pregnant. But she never found the courage to mail it. The wind moved again, slow, chilly, rustling the leaves around them as if the earth itself exhaled. "I've read it," Liam admitted quietly. "More times than I should have. Trying to understand. Trying to find the right moment to bring it to you." Amelia forced her hand forward each inch, feeling like lifting a ship from the sea. When her fingers finally brushed the envelope, she felt the faintest tremor run up her arm. Her daughter had touched this, written this, carried this, and then died, with its truth unspoken. She took the letter. Liam lowered his gaze. Lily stirred softly, sensing the tension in the air. "Before you read it," Liam murmured, "I need to tell you the rest." Amelia didn't want to hear more. Not yet. The grief pressing against her sternum demanded silence, but she had worn a uniform long enough to know that truth, no matter how painful, must be faced directly. "Go on," she said, her voice quiet but steady. Liam shifted his stance, adjusting Lily carefully. His eyes reflected years of sorrow condensed into one moment. "Sarah never told you about Lucas because she was afraid you'd see him as unworthy." His words were careful, respectful. He wasn't an officer. He wasn't from a military family. He was a corporal who grew up in a foster home. But he was one of the kindest men I've ever known. Amelia's breath hitched. "Kindness has never been a requirement for my respect." Liam hesitated before answering. Maybe not. But Sarah believed it was. The statement landed like a blow. Amelia's stomach clenched. She looked away toward the rows of tombstones stretching endlessly across the landscape. She had commanded fleets, she had never commanded her daughter's heart. "Lucas loved her fiercely," Liam continued. "The quiet kind of love, the steady kind." He kept a picture of Sarah tucked inside his chest pocket during deployment. He talked about her during night watches. Every letter he wrote home was addressed to her, even though the mail restrictions meant none ever reached her. A muscle in Amelia's jaw tightened as she tried to picture this young man she had never met, yet who had loved her daughter more openly than she ever had. What happened to him? She asked, though her voice already carried dread. Liam's eyes darkened. Silent Reef wasn't supposed to be dangerous, just reconnaissance. But we walked into an ambush, improvised traps, snipers hidden in the cliffs, chaos everywhere. His voice grew hoarse, the memory tightening around his throat. Lucas was hit while pulling another soldier to safety. I held him as his pulse slowed. Lily whimpered briefly, and Liam rocked her gently, almost instinctively. Before he died, Liam continued his words. Quivering, he pressed a small wooden box into my hands. Inside it was a ring he'd bought Sarah, and a note with her name scribbled on it. He told me, begged me to find her, to tell her he loved her, to take care of their child if anything happened. Amelia's knees weakened. So you went to her. I tried, Liam said, breathing deeply. When we returned home, I found the address, but by the time I arrived, the neighbors said Sarah had collapsed the week before and never recovered. A sharp ache pierced Amelia's chest. She had been on deployment then, overseeing a Pacific training mission. She remembered getting the call, dropping her coffee, remembered the static in her ears. She had thought she understood grief then, but she hadn't. She hadn't known half of her daughter's story. Sarah died alone, Amelia whispered, choking on the words. No, Liam corrected softly. She didn't. The paramedics said she kept asking someone to promise they'd find Lucas. She passed out before she could finish her sentence. The Admiral pressed a hand over her heart, feeling the weight of each confession stack inside her like stone. And Lily, she asked, shaking. Sarah gave birth, early stress, grief over work. The doctors weren't sure. Lily spent weeks in the NICU. When social services couldn't find immediate next of kin, Lucas's note naming Sarah and his unborn child allowed them to contact me. His voice grew softer, more vulnerable. I wasn't related. I had no legal right. But the promise I made him. Liam swallowed. I took her home, and I've cared for her ever since. Amelia's gaze swept over him, this man she had misjudged as a stranger, kneeling where he didn't belong. You're raising her, she whispered. As best as I can, Liam answered. But she deserves family. Real family. Then he looked at her fully, deeply. His eyes held grief, exhaustion, longing, and something that looked painfully like hope. I came today because Lily deserves to know where she came from, and because Sarah deserved more than silence. I thought maybe, just maybe, you'd want to know her child. Amelia lifted trembling fingers to her lips. She looked down at Lily once more. The baby's amber eyes sparkled softly, unburdened by the grief surrounding her. Her granddaughter. Her daughter's last gift to the world. The weight of the letter in Amelia's hand suddenly grew unbearable. With a shaky breath, she unfolded the flap. Liam tensed, as if witnessing the opening of a sacred wound. Inside, written in Sarah's gentle, hopeful handwriting, were the first words. Mom, if you're reading this, I pray you'll forgive me. Amelia's vision blurred instantly. Her breath broke. Her knees buckled. And for the first time in decades, Admiral Amelia Whitford, iron-willed, composed, unshakable, sank to the ground from the sheer force of a truth she had never seen coming. Silence surrounded them, but nothing felt silent inside her. Not anymore. The world around Amelia blurred the gravestones, the pale sky, even Liam's worried face, dissolving into the soft, trembling edges of memory as she unfolded the letter. Her hand, so steady in every crisis she'd ever commanded, shook like fragile leaves in the wind. Sarah's handwriting, her daughter's handwriting, alive again on this paper, though she was gone. Amelia inhaled once, deeply bracing herself as she began to read. Mom, if you're reading this, it means I still haven't found the courage to tell you in person. I'm pregnant. The words struck like a silent blow. Amelia's chest tightened, and her breath stuttered. She blinked hard, pushing through the blur. I know this isn't what you imagined for me. I know you wanted me to finish school first, to build a stable career, to follow a path you could be proud of. But Mom, I'm happy. I'm terrified, but I'm happy. A cold wind swept across the cemetery, but Amelia barely felt it. Her entire being clung to every stroke of Sarah's pen. His name is Lucas. You would like him, even though you'd pretend you didn't at first. A tear slipped down Amelia's cheek. She could almost hear her daughter's voice saying it, half teasing, half pleading. He loves me the way I always hoped someone would. Not because of what I do or what I've achieved, but because of who I am when I'm not trying so hard to be someone you'd admire. The words landed like a stone, dropped into deep water, quiet, devastating, rippling outward. Amelia pressed a hand to her mouth. She had spent years perfecting strength, discipline, excellence. But somewhere along the way, she had forgotten tenderness, forgotten softness, forgotten how to let her daughter feel enough. She kept reading. I want to tell you everything, Mom. I want to bring him to meet you. I want us to sit together like we used to before the Navy took you away from the house more often than not. Her vision swam again, this time from a mixture of regret and longing. But I'm scared. I'm scared you'll look at me the way you did the day I told you I didn't want to attend the academy. Like I had disappointed you simply by being myself. I don't want to see that look again. Not now. Not with this baby coming. The pain tightened. Sharp. Punishing. Amelia clutched the letter closer to her chest, as if she could somehow rewind time by holding her daughter's words tight enough. Still, I want you to know this: I love you, no matter how far apart we've grown, no matter how many arguments or years I tried making peace with the fact that I wasn't the daughter you envisioned. A soft cry escaped Amelia. It shocked even her. The Admiral, who never broke, never folded, never faltered, felt herself unravel in a way no battlefield had ever undone her. If something ever happens to me, please promise me you'll love this baby. She'll need you, more than I ever let myself need you. That was it. That was the line that shattered her completely. Her hand flew to her heart again, as her breath caught breaking into splinters. She closed her eyes, letting the tears fall freely, dropping onto the old paper, like rain that had been held back for years. Liam took a quiet step closer, but didn't touch her. He simply waited, honoring her grief with a soldier's patience. Amelia lowered the letter slowly, feeling as though each word had rewired her entire soul. The cemetery had grown painfully quiet, the kind of quiet that made every heartbeat feel like thunder. She wrote this alone, Amelia whispered, carrying all that fear, all that hope, and she never got to. Her voice failed. Liam nodded gently. She kept it with her until the end. I think she was waiting for the right moment to tell you. Amelia stared at him, tears streaking her stern, proud face. And I wasn't there. I wasn't there for her. The admission carved its way out of her like glass. Liam shook his head slowly, not refuting her pain, but offering something steadier. You were serving. And Sarah understood that more than you know. No, Amelia whispered, clutching the letter. I served the Navy. I should have served my daughter. The truth hung heavy between them. Lily stirred, then just a small movement, but enough to pull Amelia's eyes toward her. The child's tiny fist had curled around a stray thread of Liam's uniform. Her mouth puckered softly as she blinked awake. Her eyes, Sarah's eyes, opened slowly. Amber. Warm. Familiar. And for a moment the world stilled. Amelia lowered herself to her knees, her uniform brushing the cold ground. It wasn't planned. It wasn't dignified. It wasn't the posture of a decorated admiral. It was the posture of a mother who had lost too much and was seeing for the first time what might have been. Liam knelt too, bringing Lily down to her level. "She looks like her," Amelia breathed. "She does," Liam said softly. Every day, a tiny hand reached outward, wobbly curious, and brushed Amelia's wrist. Amelia inhaled sharply. It felt like forgiveness, like a second chance wrapped in a touch so small it broke her heart. She pressed her forehead gently against Lily's tears, slipping onto the baby's soft skin. "Hi," she whispered shakily. I'm your grandmother." The word tasted unfamiliar, terrifying, beautiful. Liam watched them quietly, eyes glassy but filled with a faint, unexpected hope. After a long moment, Amelia straightened, but only slightly. She wasn't pulling back. She was grounding herself. She looked at Liam. "Take me to her," she said. Liam blinked. "To Sarah, no." Amelia shook her head slowly, wiping her tears with the back of her sleeve. "To where you and Lily live. I want to know everything. About Sarah's life. About Lucas. About you. About how you've raised my granddaughter." Her voice trembled, but her resolve did not. Liam nodded, his expression gentle with understanding. "Of course." Amelia stood folding Sarah's letter carefully, reverently, like something sacred. She held it to her chest, breathing in as if, somehow, her daughter's scent might still linger there. Then she looked at Lily. Really looked, and felt something inside her shift. Not just grief, not just regret, but the faintest spark of something she had forgotten she was capable of hope. The drive from Arlington to Liam's modest apartment should have taken 20 minutes. Amelia stretched it into nearly 40, slowing at every intersection, gripping the steering wheel, as if the road itself might collapse beneath her. She wasn't avoiding the destination. No, she wanted to meet Lily's home, see Lily's world. What she feared was herself. Every mile carried her deeper into a truth she had spent years refusing to face. She had been an extraordinary admiral, and a painfully ordinary mother. When they arrived, Liam held the car door for her, Lily nestled against his shoulder. The building was small brick, fading with age, windows neatly lined with flower pots someone had lovingly maintained. It wasn't wealth, but it was warmth. Inside the apartment surprised her. It wasn't the cramped, cluttered bachelor's place she might have imagined. The living room was small but tidy. A soft cream blanket folded over the sofa, a rocking chair by the window, a shelf filled with baby formula pacifiers, neatly labeled containers. Pictures, simple precious, hung on a corkboard. Lily wrapped in a hospital blanket. Liam feeding her with trembling hands. Lily asleep on his chest. A blurry selfie of Liam smiling nervously. Lily's cheeks pressed against his shoulder. It hurt how gentle the scene was. "This is her home?" Amelia asked quietly. For now, Liam nodded, shifting Lily to his other arm. The Admiral walked deeper inside her fingers, brushing the back of the rocking chair, as if testing the reality of this place, this life that had existed without her knowledge. Her eyes drifted to a small wooden box on a side table. She recognized the craftsmanship instantly. Military-issue keepsake, Afghanistan deployment era. She could tell from the burnished edges, the polish worn smooth by the grip of someone sentimental. "That was Lucas's," Liam said softly. "The one he gave me before he passed." Amelia stared at it, so small yet carrying the weight of 2 lifetimes, Lucas's and Sarah's. She sat down slowly, the letter still in her pocket, its presence like a second heartbeat. Liam settled across from her. Lily awake, now blinking around the apartment with wide, curious eyes. For a moment, none of them spoke. But silence had never scared Amelia. What frightened her was what she finally had to confront. She looked at her hands, hands that had signed deployment orders, commanded fleets, held medals. but not her daughter's hand often enough. "Liam," she began softly, "I need you to tell me something, and I want the truth, even if it hurts." Liam nodded, bracing himself. "What kind of mother did Sarah think I was?" Liam froze. Whatever answer he had expected her to ask, it wasn't that. "I'm not asking for comfort," Amelia continued. "I'm asking for clarity." Liam inhaled deeply. "Sarah admired you. Deeply. She told Lucas once that you were the strongest woman she'd ever known." The word surprised her, warmed her for a brief second, but the warmth faded quickly. "She also felt unseen," Liam added quietly. Amelia closed her eyes, pain rippling through her like a cold current. "She said she learned to be strong because she had to be." Liam continued, "That you loved the Navy with a certainty she wasn't sure she could ever match." A hollow laugh escaped Amelia's lips, soft, nearly silent. "She wasn't wrong. But she didn't blame you," Liam said quickly. "She blamed the world you came from, the world that shaped you." Amelia shook her head. "I shaped me. I made the choices." Maybe Liam conceded. "But Sarah never thought you didn't love her. She thought you didn't know how to love her." The distinction broke something inside Amelia because it was true. She had loved her daughter fiercely but imperfectly, rigidly, with expectations instead of understanding. "She kept trying," Liam said. "She kept reaching out, even when she thought you wouldn't approve of Lucas, even when she found out she was pregnant." Amelia covered her face with both hands, swallowing a sob she didn't want Liam to hear, but he heard it anyway. "It wasn't that she feared you," Liam said gently. "She feared disappointing you. It was the same wound Sarah wrote in her letter, only now spoken aloud by the man who had witnessed Sarah's final months." Amelia lowered her hands, her eyes red yet focused. "I was a good admiral," she whispered, "but I wasn't a good mother. You were a mother who did her best with what she knew." Liam said softly, but Amelia shook her head. "No. I prioritized duty over birthdays, medals, over dance recitals, discipline, over tenderness. I kept telling myself Sarah would understand someday, that she would be proud of the sacrifices. But in reality," her voice fractured, "I taught her that my love had conditions, and she lived her life afraid she'd fail them." The admission poured from her like a confession she should have made years earlier. Liam didn't interrupt. He didn't comfort falsely. He simply let her speak something no one had ever done for her in this context. Amelia looked at Lily again. The baby cooed her tiny fingers, reaching upward, completely trusting of the world around her. She thought of Sarah giving birth alone, of Lucas dying with a promise trembling on his lips, of Lily beginning her life without any of the people who were supposed to love her bonded and ready. And she thought of herself, standing uniformed, distant, untouchable, believing she had control over everything. She inhaled shakily. "I don't want to fail Lily the way I failed Sarah." Liam's expression softened, surprised, moved, and something else she couldn't place. "You won't," he said. "Not if you love her the way you wish you'd loved Sarah." Silence settled gently between them. Amelia reached out her hand tentatively. "May I hold her?" Liam blinked, startled. Of course. He shifted Lily into Amelia's arms with the care of a soldier passing something sacred. Amelia stiffened at first, unused to the delicate weight, the small warmth. But then Lily looked up. Amber eyes. Sarah's eyes. And Amelia's arms softened instantly. She held her granddaughter, her breath trembling her face inches from the little girl's. "Hello, Lily," she whispered. "I'm here now." Lily gurgled in response, the sound soft, almost musical. Tears welled again, but this time, they weren't only grief. They were a beginning. Liam watched, a quiet witness to the moment that would change both their lives. in that small apartment surrounded by echoes of the daughter she lost and the child she found. Admiral Amelia Whitford realized something powerful. She had almost lost everything, but maybe she was being given a second chance, and this time she would not waste it. Amelia stayed in the rocking chair long after Lily drifted into sleep in her arms. The child's small breaths rose and fell steadily against her chest, warm and soft, an anchor holding her in a moment she never imagined she would experience, a moment she wasn't sure she deserved. Liam watched quietly from the kitchen doorway, arms crossed loosely, as though unsure whether to interrupt or let the scene play out like a fragile miracle. "You're good with her," he said softly. Amelia huffed a broken laugh. "I've been holding her for 20 minutes. That hardly counts as good." Liam stepped forward, sitting across from her. "It counts more than you think. Babies know when someone is tense or unsure. She's peaceful with you. Peaceful." Amelia looked down at Lily's sleeping face and felt that same unfamiliar warmth twist inside her. "I didn't know Sarah was pregnant," Amelia murmured. "I didn't know she loved someone. I didn't know she was scared. I didn't know anything." Liam lowered his gaze. "You know now." The Admiral exhaled slowly, letting her thoughts settle. "Tell me about you," she said. "Everything. Lucas, the deployment, Silent Reef. What happened after?" Liam shifted in his seat, not out of discomfort, but out of preparation, as though he had waited months for someone to ask, and yet had hoped no one ever would. "It's not an easy story," he warned. "Most stories worth telling aren't," Amelia replied. Liam nodded. "I enlisted at 18, he began. Joined the Marines because it was the only thing that made sense. The structure, the discipline, the brotherhood. I didn't have a family waiting for me at home, so the Corps became one." Amelia noted the tone, the subtle ache tucked between the words. "Lucas joined our unit 2 years later. He was young, brighter than he gave himself credit for, quick on his feet, loyal to a fault. He annoyed me sometimes, but he was good." His eyes drifted to the wooden box on the side table. He talked about Sarah. "From the moment he met her," Liam said she was the first person who ever made him feel like he wasn't just another name on a roster. Amelia felt a sharp pang of recognition. Sarah had always been drawn to lonely hearts. Always believed she could heal what others overlooked. Silent Reef changed everything, Liam continued. It was supposed to be simple reconnaissance, but someone higher up underestimated the terrain. The intel didn't match the reality. Command kept pushing us forward even when the signs were wrong. Amelia stiffened. A failure in military intelligence unaddressed was no small accusation. "We were ambushed," Liam said. "Traps, snipers, explosives, everything. Lucas was hit trying to pull a private out of a kill zone. I dragged them both behind cover, but Lucas..." He swallowed. "Lucas didn't make it. The apartment felt smaller, suddenly heavy with the ghosts of decisions made far from the battlefield. He pressed the box into my hand," Liam whispered. "Told me to find Sarah. Told me to take care of their baby if she needed anything. And then, he was gone." Amelia closed her eyes, briefly honoring the sacrifice. "After the mission," Liam continued, "I asked to leave the Marines. They offered counseling, reassignment, promotion, even a mandatory leave. But I couldn't stay. Not after losing him. Not with the guilt." "You weren't responsible," Amelia said quietly but firmly. "Maybe not directly," Liam admitted. "But I was the one in charge of our fire team. I gave the order to move forward. I trusted intel that was wrong." His voice grew softer. "So I left. Tried construction for a while. Security work. Nothing felt right. But cleaning maintenance? It's simple. Honest. You don't lose anyone on the job. There's no chain of command. No decisions that cost lives." It was then Amelia understood something important. Liam hadn't chosen janitorial work because of failure. He had chosen it because it didn't demand more blood. And Lily Amelia asked gently. When social services couldn't locate Sarah's mother right away, they found Lucas's emergency note with my name on it, Liam explained. They asked if I could take temporary custody. I said yes. He looked at Lily with a quiet tenderness that caught Amelia off guard. I had nothing prepared. No crib, no diapers, no idea how to hold a newborn. I watched videos at 2 in the morning on how to swaddle a baby. I burned formula twice, but I learned. He smiled at the memory, small, self-conscious, sincere. And you stayed, Amelia said. I made a promise, Liam replied simply. And Lily? She saved me too. Something inside Amelia softened even further. You could have given her up, Amelia said, or let the state handle her placement. But you didn't. Liam shrugged lightly, but his eyes betrayed emotion. Lily didn't ask to lose both her parents before she even took her first breath, and she sure didn't ask for a broken ex-Marine with more nightmares than sleep to take her home. But she still looked at me like I was the safest place on earth. His voice weakened. I couldn't walk away from that. The room fell quiet again. But this time the silence wasn't sharp. It was understanding two lives both marked by sacrifice, finally seeing each other clearly. After a moment, Amelia spoke softly. I misjudged you. Liam looked up, surprised. You're not just a janitor, she said. You're the man who kept my granddaughter alive, who loved her when she had no one else, who honored a soldier's dying wish. That's not small, Liam. That's extraordinary. Liam's eyes flickered with something unfamiliar, gratitude maybe, or relief. And you, he said carefully, are not just an admiral. You're a mother who lost her daughter, and a grandmother who showed up the moment she learned the truth. Amelia felt something small and bright ignite within her chest. Not joy too soon for that, not healing still too far away, but a beginning. Lily stirred again, her tiny hand brushing Amelia's collar. The child made a soft, contented sigh. She likes you, Liam murmured. Amelia smiled, a real one this time, though faint. I think I like her too. Liam chuckled quietly. Good. She could use another person in her corner. Amelia looked at him meaningfully. So could you. Their eyes met, steady, honest, unguarded. Two broken souls bound by a child neither had expected, sitting in the soft glow of a living room that felt more like truth than anything Amelia had known in years. For the first time since she buried Sarah, she didn't feel alone. Morning light filtered into Liam's apartment in soft, golden streaks, warming the hardwood floor and casting faint halos around the edges of the furniture. It was a gentle kind of sunrise, one Amelia Whitford had rarely witnessed. Most of her mornings for decades had begun under fluorescent lights, in command centers, or aboard ships where dawn was simply another timestamp in a demanding schedule. But this morning was different. This morning, she woke to the sound of a baby's soft coos echoing from the small nursery. Lily, her granddaughter. For a long moment, Amelia simply sat at the edge of the living room sofa, still dressed in the same uniform from the day before, processing the fragile enormity of that reality. Liam emerged from the hallway, hair-tousled t-shirt, wrinkled, looking more like a man who had fought a war with sleep and lost. He blinked when he saw her sitting upright. You're awake, he said, voice still raspy. I'm a light sleeper, Amelia replied. Years of training. He huffed a tiny laugh. I've had the opposite training. Lily's been helping me improve. A tiny wail rose from the nursery. Liam winced. Speaking of which, Amelia stood. Let me try. You sure? Liam asked. No, she admitted truthfully. But I need to learn. Liam stepped aside, letting her pass. When Amelia entered the nursery, she froze, not from fear, but from awe. The room wasn't elaborate, but it was lovingly put together. A gently worn crib. Hand-me-down baby toys neatly arranged in a small basket. A mobile with faded stars hanging above the crib. A rocking chair with a blanket tucked into the corner. And in the crib, tiny fists, waving face scrunched in protest of morning hunger, was Lily, her granddaughter. Amelia approached slowly, like one might approach a wild, delicate creature. She reached for the baby hand, slightly unsteady. "Support her neck," Liam coached gently from the doorway. Amelia adjusted her posture, then lifted Lily up, cradling her awkwardly but carefully. Lily blinked at her confusion dissolving into calm recognition, like she knew this stranger should never have been a stranger. "Hello, little one." Amelia whispered the words, feeling both foreign and sacred. The crying stopped almost instantly. Liam stared. "She never does that for me." Amelia managed a soft smile. "Maybe she just needed a new commanding officer." Liam chuckled. "I think she outranks both of us." Amelia looked down at Lily, who gurgled happily in agreement. For the next hour, Amelia attempted the simplest tasks. Tasks she had never done for Sarah, not even once. Attempt them on or 1. Mixing formula. Liam handed her the bottle and instructions. She frowned. "This looks like assembling a field radio." Liam laughed. Much higher stakes. Her hands shook more than they ever had on the bridge of a ship. She spilled powder on the counter, added too much water, then too little, muttering Navy-grade curses under her breath. Liam gently took the bottle. "Here. Like this." She memorized every movement because she was determined to get it right. Attempt tortutu. Feeding. Lily stared at her like she was assessing the situation with great suspicion. Amelia raised an eyebrow. "You're judging me." Liam snorted. "She judges everyone." When Amelia finally positioned the bottle correctly, Lily latched and began drinking eagerly. Amelia felt something crack open inside her. A memory, blurry, bittersweet, surfaced Sarah at 6 months old. Amelia, in uniform, rushing through the living room with a briefcase. A nanny feeding her daughter while she left for another deployment. She swallowed hard and refocused on the baby in her arms. "I won't leave this time," she whispered. Liam heard, but pretended not to. Attempt number 3. Putting Lily to sleep, Amelia rocked her gently, humming an old tune she hadn't realized she remembered a lullaby Sarah's grandmother used to sing. Her voice wobbled, deepened, softened. Liam watched from the door, leaning against the frame. He had never seen the Admiral like this unarmored, vulnerable human. "You're good at that," he said quietly. "No," she replied. "I'm just trying. That's all anyone can do." When Lily drifted to sleep, Amelia placed her carefully into the crib. For a moment, she couldn't move her hand away. She kept it there, hovering above the baby's chest, reassuring herself that Lily was real. When she finally stepped back, her eyes shimmered. Liam offered her a seat in the living room. "Coffee," she nodded. "Please." While he brewed, Amelia walked the small apartment, absorbing the details she had missed the night before. There was so much she hadn't known. But what struck her was how deeply Liam had stepped into a role he had never prepared for. He brought her a mug of coffee. She held it but didn't drink. "Liam, she said you've done more for Lily than I could ever repay." "You don't owe me anything," he replied softly. "I do," she insisted, "because you didn't just keep her alive. You gave her love, stability, safety, things I failed to give Sarah." Liam looked at her eyes full of understanding, but also something unspoken, something warm. "She needed you, Amelia," whispered, voice breaking. "And you were there." Liam sat across from her. "I promised Lucas I'd take care of her, but I didn't realize how much I needed her too. Lily gave me a reason to wake up, a reason to stay, a reason to start over." Their eyes met, a quiet exchange heavy with truth. Amelia set down her mug. Her hands trembled slightly. "I want to be part of her life," she said. "Not out of guilt. Out of love. Real love." "You should be," Liam replied. "I want to help raise her," she continued softly. "If you'll let me." Liam froze. Breath caught in his throat. He had expected reluctance, hesitation, maybe even resentment. But not this. "Liam," she said gently, "you don't have to do this alone anymore." Liam's eyes softened, not with pity, with relief. Then something broken and lonely inside him. Something he'd buried beneath exhaustion, and fear finally exhaled. "You're not alone either, Amelia." The honesty of it struck her deeper than she expected. She looked down at her hands, remembering all the years she had filled with medals instead of moments. Then she looked back at him. "I want to learn," she whispered. "Teach me to be her grandmother." Liam nodded slowly. "I will." The morning sun rose higher, casting warm light across the apartment onto the crib, onto Liam, onto Amelia, onto a fragile new beginning formed from loss, forgiveness, and quiet courage. In the deep stillness of that room, Amelia felt something she had not felt in a very long time. She belonged. The following week unfolded with a rhythm Amelia had never known. Quiet mornings, filled with Lily's soft, babbling afternoons, spent learning the subtle art of grandparenting, and evenings where she and Liam talked in low, thoughtful tones about Sarah Lucas and the strange way fate had drawn them together. But as the days passed, something else began to stir beneath the surface. Something Amelia had long been trained to sense, an old instinct, sharpening like a blade. Trouble. It began with a knock on Liam's door one morning. A uniformed petty officer stood outside with a clipped salute. "Admiral Whitford, ma'am. Headquarters requests a meeting at your earliest convenience." Amelia stiffened. She hadn't filed a return-to-duty notice. She hadn't informed command she was in a civilian residential area. She hadn't been near naval operations in weeks. Liam watched from behind her, arms crossed, jaw tense. "I'm on leave," Amelia answered. "Yes, ma'am," the petty officer said carefully. "They're aware. They still request your presence," which meant one thing. This wasn't a request. When the officer left, Liam closed the door slowly. "What was that about?" he asked. Amelia exhaled, her expression turning controlled, professional, so unlike the Amelia he'd grown to know these past days. "It means someone noticed I'm not where I'm supposed to be." "You're retired," Liam countered. "Retired or not, a 4-star's movements are always monitored. They want to know why I'm here." Liam's shoulders tensed. "Because of me, because of everything," Amelia replied softly. At headquarters, Amelia entered a conference room she knew all too well. White walls, polished table, the faint hum of classified systems behind secure doors. Except this time, she was not commanding the room. 3 officers waited for her. Rear Admiral Collins, Captain Ruiz, and Commander Holt. The expressions on their faces were measured, cautious, like men approaching a minefield they didn't fully understand. Admiral Whitford Collins began. "Thank you for coming." "I was invited," she said sharply as she took her seat. Collins cleared his throat. "We've received reports that you've been visiting restricted civilian areas, including extended interactions with a former Marine, Liam Carter." Amelia's gaze turned icy. "He is caring for my granddaughter." Silence. Ruiz exchanged a tense look with Collins. Holt clicked a file open on his tablet. "Ma'am, we pulled his record. Marine Sergeant Liam Carter. Honorable discharge following psychological trauma after Operation Silent Reef." Amelia stiffened, but held her composure. "He left because he lost a soldier he was responsible for. It wasn't misconduct." Collins leaned forward. "That's precisely the concern. Silent Reef has Inconsistencies. Files missing. Reports overwritten. Command logs redacted by someone above field authority. Amelia's heartbeat quickened. Redacted by whom? Collins hesitated. Holt answered. We believe Lucas Hale's death may not have been an accident. Amelia's eyes narrowed. Explain. The officer shifted uncomfortably. Ruiz spoke next. 2 days ago, an archivist flagged an anomaly. Lucas Hale's file was opened 3 times posthumously. Once by an unidentified login, once by Liam Carter, and once by someone using your old authorization code. The words hit her like a blow. My code, she repeated. A clone of it, Holt clarified. We believe someone used your identity to overwrite parts of the Silent Reef after action reports. That was no small accusation. It meant someone inside the Navy had used her name, her rank, to hide something. Something that involved Lucas Hale's death. And what Amelia asked coldly, does any of this have to do with my granddaughter? Collins folded his hands. Because if Silent Reef was covered up, someone might not want Lucas's family, his child, connected to the truth. A chill slid through Amelia, and Ruiz added, if Carter is investigating privately or unintentionally carrying evidence, it could place him and the child at risk. The implication seared through the room. Danger. For Lily. For Liam. For anyone who knew the story. Something deep inside Amelia awakened the same force that had carried her through decades of command. Are you telling me, she said slowly, that the father of my granddaughter may have died in a cover-up? Collins swallowed. We're saying it's possible, and that someone may want the truth buried. Her fingers curled into fists. She stood abruptly, the chair legs scraping sharply across the floor. Open every file, she commanded. Every log, every order, every report from Silent Reef. I want access to the unredacted archive. Effective immediately. The officers looked at one another. Admiral Collins said gently, You don't hold active clearance anymore. Her voice lowered into something colder, harder, and undeniably authoritative. Then reinstated. They hesitated, but only for a heartbeat. Because when Amelia Whitford spoke like that, people listened. That evening she returned to Liam's apartment, her expression tight, her steps controlled. Liam saw it the moment she entered the storm behind her eyes. What happened? He asked. She didn't speak at first. She walked to the living room window, where Lily slept in her crib, bathed in the soft light of the setting sun. After a long moment, Amelia whispered, Lucas may not have died the way you think he did. Liam froze. Amelia turned to face him fully. Command believes someone altered the Silent Reef reports. Someone used my identity to bury something. Liam's jaw tensed hard enough to tremble. Why would they do that? To protect themselves, Amelia answered, or to keep something from being exposed, something big enough that they didn't want anyone tracing it back. Liam's fists clenched. And Lily? He asked quietly. Amelia's voice softened not weakly, but with fierce resolve. I won't let anything happen to her. Or to you. Liam's eyes met hers, fear and gratitude tangled in their depths. What do we do now? He asked. Amelia stepped closer. We uncover the truth, she said. Together. For the first time in years, Amelia Whitford felt the familiar fire of command ignite within her, not for a mission given by the Navy, but for a mission given by fate. Not to save a fleet, but to save a family. The days that followed carried a quiet intensity neither Amelia nor Liam had expected. Their conversations shifted from careful politeness to honest vulnerability. Their shared mission to uncover what truly happened in Operation Silent Reef wove them together in ways neither fully understood. But it wasn't only the investigation that pulled them close. It was Lily, and the grief they shared, and the healing they both desperately needed, On the 5th night after Amelia's meeting with headquarters, Liam sat at his small kitchen table, sorting through old deployment notes. Pages were spread everywhere, handwritten logs, fragments of Lucas's letters, maps Liam had reconstructed from memory. Amelia leaned over the table too, her glasses perched low, as she analyzed the papers like they were classified briefings. Lily slept on the sofa, wrapped in a soft yellow blanket. Lucas wrote this during the 2nd week, Liam said, tapping a worn notebook page. He said command changed the route last minute. None of us knew why. It didn't match terrain analysis. Amelia nodded, and they redacted that from the official records. Liam's jaw tightened, which means Lucas died following an order that never should have been given. A heaviness settled over the table. After a moment, Amelia removed her glasses, rubbing the bridge of her nose. Liam, what you've been carrying alone, it's too much for one man. He looked at her, the exhaustion behind his eyes plain. Some burdens don't feel like a choice. Maybe Amelia replied softly because no one ever offered to carry them with you. He blinked, startled by the gentleness in her tone. Then he said quietly, "Until now." Their eyes held. The room seemed to still. Only the soft hum of the refrigerator filled the space. Amelia looked away, first clearing her throat. "We should take a break. You haven't eaten." Liam smiled faintly. "Neither have you." She raised an eyebrow. "Are you implying I don't take care of myself?" He chuckled. "I'm implying neither of us does." Amelia stood, smoothing her shirt. "Then we'll fix that. Together." She began making tea, her movements precise, but softer than before. Liam watched her, amazed at how naturally she had settled into his home, into Lily's life, into the parts of his world he never expected to open again. When she handed him a cup, their fingers brushed, just lightly, barely a second, but enough. Liam exhaled shakily. Amelia pretended not to notice, though a faint warmth crept up her neck. He leaned back in his chair. "You know Lucas used to say something about Sarah." "What was that?" Amelia asked, sipping her tea. "That she carried light, even in the worst moments. He said she made him feel like the world wasn't so heavy." Amelia swallowed hard. "I didn't know that version of her." "You knew a different version," Liam said gently. "A daughter trying to earn your pride." The ache returned, soft, raw, permanent. "But the way you talk about her now," he continued, "that's love too, even if it took time to understand." Amelia met his eyes. "And you? What do you carry from her?" Liam considered. "Her courage, her stubbornness, her hope. Lily has that too." They both glanced toward the sofa where Lily slept peacefully. "She deserves all of it," Amelia whispered. "And she will have it," Liam replied. "From both of us." The statement hung in the air, not romantic but deeply intimate, a promise neither had made aloud until now. Later that evening, after hours of piecing together fragmented memories and hidden truths, Lily stirred and let out a tiny cry. Liam started to rise, but Amelia was already there. "I've got her," she said softly. She lifted the baby into her arms, with a confidence she hadn't possessed days ago. Liam watched her sway gently, humming that same lullaby she had sung before. The sight Amelia Whitford, the feared and respected Admiral, holding a child with such tenderness, brought something tight and warm to his chest. She sat on the sofa cradling Lily, and the baby settled instantly. "See," Amelia murmured. "No need to worry." "You're incredible with her," Liam said quietly. Amelia looked at him over Lily's head. "No, I'm learning. Because I have to. Because I want to." "Amelia." Liam began, his voice softening. She looked up, meeting his eyes, really meeting them. There was something in his expression. Something unguarded. Something he had been trying to bury beneath grief and duty and years of silence. He sat beside her, his shoulder just inches from hers. "You've changed my life," he said quietly, "since the moment you stepped into the cemetery." Amelia felt her breath catch. "Liam." "No, let me finish." She nodded. "I was lost before Lily," he admitted. "And after Lucas. I didn't think I deserved anything good again. I didn't think I had the right, but you," he hesitated, searching for steady words. "You brought something back. Something I thought was gone for good." "What's that?" she asked softly. "Hope," he whispered. Her heart tightened. Slowly she reached out and placed her hand on his, the gesture small but earth-shifting. "I wasn't looking for hope," Amelia said, her voice trembling. "I wasn't looking for anything. But I found you. And Lily. And the truth I should have known years ago." Liam's eyes softened, warm, deep, sincere. They sat like that, hands touching breath, steady Lily safe between them, as if the past had carved them into two pieces that suddenly fit. After a long, fragile moment, Amelia whispered, "Two broken hearts don't always mend together. But sometimes they're the only pieces that match." Liam swallowed hard, unable to speak. And when Lily let out a tiny sigh in her sleep, Amelia leaned her head against his shoulder, small, hesitant, but certain. Liam closed his eyes. It wasn't a declaration. It wasn't a promise. It wasn't a confession. But it was the beginning of all three. Born not from romance, not from desire, but from loss, the kind that binds souls more tightly than love ever could. And neither of them pulled away. The autumn sun filtered through Liam's apartment windows in a soft amber glow, touching everything with a warmth that felt almost miraculous. A few weeks had passed since Amelia and Liam began digging into the Silent Reef truth. The investigation was still ongoing, dangerous, tangled, and daunting. But something within their daily lives had begun to change. Not suddenly, but quietly. Like morning light inching across a dim room until everything becomes clear. Lily giggled from her playmat, her small hands patting the colorful shapes with uncoordinated delight. Amelia sat beside her, guiding her fingers toward the soft fabric butterfly stitched into the corner. "That's right, sweetheart," Amelia murmured. "Butterfly, just like the ones your mother loved." Liam leaned against the doorframe, watching the scene unfold, with an expression he couldn't fully hide. Part admiration, part disbelief, part something deeper he didn't yet know how to explain. "You keep this up," he said softly. "Lily's going to start thinking you're the fun one." Amelia shot him a mock glare. "I am the fun one." He raised a brow. "Admiral Whitford, known across the Pacific Fleet for being terrifyingly strict, is the fun one." "Lily seems to think," so she countered proudly. Lily babbled in agreement, making both adults laugh. It was a rare sound, a sound Liam hadn't heard in his apartment long before Amelia entered their lives. Laughter, soft and healing. That afternoon, Amelia brewed tea, while Liam chopped vegetables for dinner. It had become a comfortable ritual, one cooking the other, preparing drinks. Lily offering commentary in baby squeals from her high chair. The simple domesticity was something Amelia had never allowed herself to experience. But here, with Liam and Lily, it felt right. "Amelia," Liam said without looking up from the cutting board, "you've been coming here every day. Don't you have things you want to do, or people expecting you?" Amelia paused mid-stir. "I resigned." Liam froze. "What?" She set the spoon down and leaned against the counter. "I filed my retirement papers 2 days ago. It's official." He stared at her, stunned. "You stepped away from a 40-year career. Just like that." "Not just like that." Her eyes softened. "I stepped away because it was time, and because being an admiral didn't make me happy anymore. Not the way this does. This, he repeated slowly. Being here, she said, gesturing around the apartment. With Lily. With you. With a life I didn't even know I needed. Liam swallowed hard. Are you sure? She nodded. Absolutely. A long silence followed, deep, meaningful, emotional. Then Liam whispered, Sarah would have wanted that. Amelia's eyes shimmered. I hope so. He stepped closer still, keeping a respectful distance, but close enough she could feel the gravity between them. Amelia, he said gently, you didn't fail her. Her lips trembled. I didn't show up. You're showing up now, he said, for her child, for yourself, for both of us. The sincerity in his voice nearly undid her. Later that evening, after Lily fell asleep, Amelia and Liam sat on the small balcony outside his apartment. Leaves drifted down from nearby trees, painting the air with soft, rustling sounds. The night was cool, but peaceful. You know, Liam began when Lucas died. I thought my life ended with him. I didn't think I had room to care for anyone else. And then Lily arrived. And then, you. Amelia's breath stilled. He continued quietly. I didn't expect to feel anything again. Not like this. She turned toward him. The moonlight cast soft shadows on his face, making him look tired and strong, battered and gentle all at once. I didn't expect this either, she whispered. They sat together in silence, the closeness between them charged, but unhurried. They weren't rushing toward anything. They were simply letting themselves exist side by side, hearts slowly thawing. Liam, she said softly, you've carried so much alone, more than anyone should, but you don't have to anymore. He looked at her eyes full of gratitude and something deeper. And neither do you. For a moment, time didn't move. Only their breaths did. Then, unexpectedly, Amelia reached for his hand. He stiffened for a second, surprised, but then gently curled his fingers around hers. It wasn't romantic in the conventional sense. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't rushed. It was something more powerful, a promise that neither of them would walk alone again. Over the next few days, things shifted even further. Amelia began house hunting her retirement, now official. But instead of looking for a solitary condo on a quiet street, like she once imagined, she found herself searching for something close to Liam and Lily. Walking distance, only she told the realtor. The closer, the better. Liam pretended not to overhear, but the soft smile on his face gave him away. On Thursday, Amelia arrived with a brand new stroller. On Friday, she fixed the loose hinge on Liam's kitchen cabinet with military precision. On Saturday, she brought over a crib she assembled herself, though not without a few choice curses. You really don't have to do all this, Liam said as he watched her tighten the screws. Yes, she said firmly, I do. Not because of guilt, not because of obligation, but because she cared. Deeply. Lily began crawling that weekend. Amelia cried harder than Liam did. That's my granddaughter, she whispered proudly, lifting Lily with trembling hands. Liam stood behind her, his voice warm. She loves you. Amelia leaned into him slightly, not even realizing she'd done so. I love her too. He placed a gentle hand on her back, steady, reassuring. We're building something, Amelia, I know, she whispered. And I'm in, he said simply. She looked up at him, this man who had stepped into tragedy and carved out a life from it. A man who had loved her daughter's child with a devotion she couldn't fathom. A man who had become her anchor without either of them noticing. She reached for his hand again. Sarah will want us to step forward, he said softly, repeating the words that had lingered between them for days. This time, Amelia didn't hesitate. She let her tears fall freely, one hand clutching his. I know, she whispered. And we will. In the faint glow of the living room lamp, with Lily sleeping peacefully between them, Amelia realized something profound. She hadn't simply retired from the Navy. She had chosen a new mission, one built on love, forgiveness, and second chances. A mission she wasn't leading alone. 1 year later, Arlington National Cemetery lay under a soft spring breeze, the kind that made the leaves whisper and the air smell faintly of new beginnings. The sky was a gentle blue, streaked with white clouds drifting lazily overhead. The season had changed. Their lives had changed with it. Amelia walked slowly along the familiar path, her steps steady, her posture relaxed in a way that once seemed impossible. She wore a simple navy blue coat instead of her uniform. She no longer needed medals to define her. She no longer carried her grief like an armor. Beside her, Liam pushed Lily's stroller. The little girl, now toddling, curious, bursting with life, refused to stay seated. She clung to the edge of the stroller, trying to stand, letting out tiny squeals of excitement each time she saw a flower. "Easy, bug," Liam murmured. "You'll get your chance to run." Lily giggled, her small hand reaching out to Amelia. Amelia smiled and gently took her hand. "You're getting so big," she whispered. "Your mama would have adored you." They reached Sarah's grave, a place Amelia once associated only with pain. But now, as she looked at the stone, she felt something different. Not just sorrow, not guilt, but peace. She had not expected to ever feel peace again, not in this place, not with the weight of everything she lost. Yet here it was, blooming quietly in her chest like a new flower in spring. The marble headstone gleamed in the sunlight. Sarah Whitford, 2023, beloved daughter, mother, and light of our lives. Liam stopped the stroller. "You want me to take Lily for a moment?" he offered. Amelia shook her head. "No, I want her with us." She lifted Lily into her arms. The toddler squealed, grabbing at Amelia's coat collar with chubby fingers. Amelia pressed a soft kiss to Lily's forehead, then knelt before the grave. Liam knelt beside her. Together, Lily, curious, as always, reached out and touched the engraved letters on the stone. She traced the shapes, with innocent fascination, babbling softly. "She knows," Liam whispered. "Maybe not what this place means, but she feels it." Amelia's eyes filled gently. "She feels Sarah," she said. "I think she always has." She placed a bouquet of white navel lilies at the foot of the grave, the same flowers Sarah once braided into her hair. Then she took a breath, steadying her voice as she spoke to her daughter. "Sarah, it's been a year of learning everything I never knew about you, a year of holding your baby, watching her grow, seeing pieces of you in every little thing she does." Her voice trembled, but she didn't look away from the stone. "I missed so much, too much, and I will never forgive myself for that." Liam placed a gentle hand on her back, not pulling, not urging, just there, a steadying presence. "But your daughter Amelia whispered she saved me. You saved me, Sarah. Through her, through him." She glanced at Liam, and he met her eyes with that warm, steady gaze she'd grown to rely on. She continued, her voice soft but strong. "I want you to know that I've changed. I'm trying every day to be the grandmother Lily deserves, the mother you deserved." Her throat tightened. "And I promise you, I won't waste this second chance." Lily let out a happy squeal and reached toward the sky, her fingers stretching wide as if trying to catch sunlight. Amelia laughed softly through her tears. "She has your spirit," she whispered. "Wild and bright." Liam chuckled. "And your stubbornness." Amelia elbowed him gently, and his grin widened. The ease between them felt natural now, like they'd been building toward this place for years without knowing it. Amelia turned back to the grave, her hand resting lightly on the stone. "We're a family now, Sarah. Not perfect, not traditional, but real, strong." bound by love and loss and the miracle of your daughter." She paused, then added softly, "We're happy. Because of you." A breeze swept over them, cool and tender, carrying with it the scent of fresh grass and new beginnings. Lily clapped her tiny hands as if applauding the moment. Amelia smiled. "I think she approves." "She definitely approves," Liam said. They remained there in silence, letting the breeze wrap around them, letting the quiet speak what words could not. After a long moment, Amelia rose, lifting Lily to her hip. Liam stood beside them. "You ready?" he asked. "To go," Amelia asked. To leave, Liam clarified. Not the cemetery, but the past. Amelia looked once more at Sarah's stone, the place where grief had once anchored her, where guilt had kept her chained. But now it felt like something different. A beginning, not an ending. A reminder, not a prison. A promise, not a wound. She took Liam's hand, fingers lacing with his in a gesture that felt both natural and inevitable. "I'm ready," she said softly. They turned to walk back down the path, Lily toddling between them. Liam held her hand on one side. Amelia held the other. Lily swayed with each step, her tiny legs wobbling, her laughter ringing out like a bell. People passing by smiled at the sight. Strangers wouldn't know the battles they had fought, the secrets they uncovered, the heartbreak they overcame, the family they rebuilt from the ashes of loss. But they knew, and that was enough. At the gate of the cemetery, Lily tripped on a tuft of grass. Amelia gasped and reached to steady her, but Liam was already there, scooping the toddler up with practiced ease. "Got you," he whispered, pressing a kiss to her cheek. The simple gesture warmed Amelia's chest. She brushed a stray curl from Lily's forehead. "She's getting stronger," she said. Liam smiled. "So are we." Amelia met his gaze, soft, full certain. "Liam," she said gently, "thank you. For what he asked, for keeping your promise, for giving Lily a home, for letting me become part of it." Liam stepped closer. "You didn't become part of it," he said quietly. "You helped create it." Amelia felt something inside her melt. Something old. Something stubborn. Something that had kept her heart walled off for far too long. She leaned in, forehead touching his, Lily cradled safely between them. "I'm grateful for you," she whispered. "And I'm grateful for you," he replied. Lily squealed happily, as if sealing their bond with her tiny voice. They all laughed. And as the sun warmed their faces, Amelia felt the truth settle deep inside her. The grave that once symbolized everything she lost had given her everything she found. A child to love, a man to trust, a second chance she never expected. A family reborn, not from perfection, but from courage. And as they walked together into the bright afternoon, Amelia knew, this time she would not fail them. "We would truly love to hear from you. Where are you watching from today, and which moment in this story touched your heart the most? Your thoughts and reflections mean so much to us. If this story brought you comfort, hope, or simply a moment of peace, we warmly invite you to subscribe to our channel. Here you'll always find gentle, meaningful stories that honor kindness, family, and the quiet heroes among us. Thank you sincerely for spending your time with us. We appreciate you more than words can say, and we hope to see you again in the next story.